Hello and welcome to Life as It Is with me, Dora Middleton. I would like to talk to you today about domestic violence. And I would like to start off by saying no matter what seems to be happening in your life, there is always a way out. And therefore, I would like to give you the number to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233. And I would like to discuss why people stay in toxic relationships like that. And after I've talked to a lot of people about the type of relationships that they are in, and some of them have been abusive relationships, and I've been told by most that they stay because of their children, wanting to continue to have two parents in the home, or they stay because of financial stability. And I'm here to say that there is absolutely no reason why anyone should stay anywhere for those reasons. You can raise your children as a single parent, and those children turn out to be fine. There's nothing out there saying that you can't raise a child while being a single parent. Now, I do understand being worried about the financial aspect of the matter, but that's still not a reason to stay there at all. It's a lot of help out there, financial help, if you're a single parent. I think that you should take the time out to try to find sources that would be good for you and your children, but you should never stay in those type of relationships because they don't always end well. I know there's also people that have told me that they stay due to fear. The person makes them think that if they do leave, that if they can't have them, no one else will. But I would also like for people to realize that if they're telling you that if you leave, imagine what they are capable of doing to you if you stay and they get angry. Just because you decided to stay does not mean they won't try to do the same thing to you just, because you stayed. There's so many women out there that accept all of the mental and verbal and physical abuse. And there's absolutely no reason why you should do that. I hear a lot of, well, I love this person and I've known this person since I was a child. Those, again, is still no reason to stay in an abusive relationship. I've even heard women tell me, well, they've actually told me that these people beat on them because they love them. And I've tried on so many occasions to tell them if he loved you, he wouldn't have been beating on you from the start. But people see things the way that they want to see them. And no matter how you tell people, okay, this is not the way this should be, this isn't what love is, this isn't how a good relationship is supposed to be going. I think that you should always, no matter what type of relationship you are in, always remember you need to protect yourself as well as your children. And if you need to get out of that situation, get out of it. Don't make up excuses to stay because you don't want to become a victim of domestic violence and end up losing your life, or your children end up losing their lives. We read these articles and we see these situations on the news every day where these men or these women decided to do mass suicides, and they kill their children, they kill their partner because something isn't going right in the relationship, or someone might want to leave, and you don't want to be a part of that at all. It's not worth it. I believe that you should never try to hold on or keep something or keep someone basically that does not want to be kept in some situations too, because there's been situations where people have killed someone else because they were they wanted to force the person to stay with them, and the person didn't want to stay. I can recall that happening back in 2000 and I want to say 12, where there was a young lady that lived near me. This man was physically abusive to her. She was basically financially supporting this man, and she decided to leave. She decided to she actually packed up her 5-year-old son and she left. But the mistake she made was she decided to go back and get the rest of her things, and she went back without the police. And here's the issue with that. This guy was abusive, and it wasn't the first time he had been abusive toward her. It wasn't the first time that he said that no one else would have her. And I can remember driving by and I saw him standing outside smoking a cigarette. And I was like, that guy just looks, it was something about him I just thought was off. I really didn't know that much about them, but I could tell something was off. People let off a certain type of energy, and that energy that he had that morning was not good. So I am kind of like a night owl. So I might be up, regardless of what time I have to go to work. I might be up in those early hours watching a movie or the news on CNN or something. But I'm up, basically. So I can recall just sitting there and I heard these booms. I'm like, boom, boom. I'm like, okay, I know the 4th of July is near. Maybe it was fireworks, but it didn't sound like fireworks. So the next thing I find out, like 30 minutes later, I hear a bunch of sirens, and I walked outside to see what was going on, and he had killed her. He killed her, and he killed her 5-year-old son. And they were all, after he killed each one, he put them in the bed, and then he killed himself, and he laid in there with them. And to my knowledge, that little boy wasn't his son. It was actually, he was just the mom's boyfriend. I guess she would say his stepfather. But whatever the case may be, when she got out, no material things is ever going to be worth your life. When you walk out of those doors and you walk out with your life, don't go back. Leave that stuff. You can always replace it. And I've known a lot of psychotics in my lifetime. But when I see, it's always a red flag. And when I see these red flags popping up everywhere, I get away. I don't want to hear anyone tell me, well, don't you really care about this person? Look, I care about my safety and the safety of my children. And one thing about me, even when my kids were small, I have never brought anyone around my kids because I don't trust like that. I have never had that much trust for anyone. I am not quick to put any man in front of my kids. Never have been. And I won't. I don't care how old they are. And they are all big children now. But I still wouldn't do it because why would you? You have to be careful. You don't know. We only know what these people tell us. I'm sure you can investigate these people. But again, you still don't know everything about these people. You don't know their mental state. You don't know if there's mental illness in these people's families. You really don't know what you're dealing with. So I'm really protective over my children. And that's something I'm not going to do. But it saddens me to think about the fact that there's so much violence in the world. And people aren't really taking precautions against it. So that's why I decided to do this segment on domestic violence, because we all, whether we want to admit it or not, have had a family member that has dealt with domestic violence. No matter how you try to hide it, and it doesn't matter how much money you have, how rich you are, how poor you are, domestic violence is there. We've all seen it in our family. It's there. And I will always tell whomever it is, whether stranger or family, get out. It's not worth it. You have to think about your life. You have to think about your kids' life. You have to think about your future. Don't ever stay somewhere that is toxic. And like I stated earlier at the beginning of the segment, there is hotlines you can call that will help you find a place to stay if that's an issue for you and your children, if you have children. But just don't ever stay in a toxic relationship. It's not, people think it's just so, oh my God, these people love me so much. They're stalking me. They're calling me constantly. They want to know where I'm at, what I'm doing, who I'm with. That's not cute. And I really can't stand when I hear women say, oh, I like the fact, and men, okay, and men, they're just showing me that they really like me. Oh, it's just a little bit of obsession. No, it's not, okay? It's not all peaches and cream like that. If people are doing that to you, then there's a screw missing. You're not going to stalk anyone. You're not going to have to know every moment of the day where these people are at or what they're doing. That's not healthy. And I just really wish that people stop thinking that that's love, because it's not love. That actually, when I've come across men like that, it has frightened me to the core, because I'm like, oh, no. That's a no. I walk away. Don't call me. Don't contact me. You don't know where I stay. That's one thing I don't give out. I will never let anyone come to my home. That's your safe haven. Don't ever do that. Ever. I mean, if you're going to do that, you better make sure you know everything inside and out about this man. Okay? And even then, you really can't say what, how his mind works. I'm just saying, be careful. And then a lot of people do the whole online dating thing right now. That's in. And I've read articles where women have been killed that way as well. It's like right now in society, dating can be quite dangerous in one way or the other. So, basically, I just wanted to touch base with everyone out there. And if anyone's listening to this segment that is in an abusive relationship, is always a way out. And I know that men that abuse women usually try to break their spirit. They try to make them think that no one else will want them, that they're damaged goods, and if they don't stay with them, they will never be happy. They will never find another man. And I'm here to tell you that's not true. I can't say what any woman feels like in these situations, because I've never been in an abusive relationship. Because one thing about me is I'm never going to allow myself to be in one. Because again, as I stated before, there are signs. It's always signs. And you follow your gut. If you feel in your gut that this person is not right, or something's off about this person, then get away. Walk away. Don't second guess yourself. That's where everyone always go wrong, when you second guess yourself. Like if you're taking a test in school, go with your first answer, because when you start erasing, that's what they used to tell us. When you start to erase these answers and keep over analyzing, that's when you get it wrong. Go with your gut. If you're not sure what it is, then pick your answer and go with it. So I need to take a brief break and I will be right back. Hello and welcome back to Life as It Is with me, Dora Middleton. In this segment, I was talking about domestic violence, and I've touched base on obsession. People have these different issues to where they have to know where you're at, what you're doing at every moment of your day. They have to call you constantly. These women or men have to keep their phones with them so that they can reach them at all times. And again, as I stated, people think that's love. That's not love. That's a troubled person. And that is someone that you should not want to be with, because situations like that does not end good. And when you have situations of domestic violence, you have these men, and it happens with women. I mean, it happens with some men. There are men in abusive relationships where these women happen to be the abuser. Okay, so it does happen both ways. And what I'm trying to say is, when you have this abuser try to break down your spirit or just screw up your self-esteem, that's an abuser. You know, I've heard women say, and they'll tell me, well, he told me no one else is going to want me, and this, that, and the other. And then there's some men out there to tell women, okay, you have children. No one's going to date you because you have children. That's a lie on every level. It's a lie. You know, you're not beautiful like you used to be. And I tell these women, don't let anyone tell you that. Okay? Don't ever let anyone do that to you. And I tell people, and I laugh about it, I tell people my self-esteem is through the roof, okay? And it's always been like that. But not everyone is a strong person. And I thank God I've never had to be in any situations like that, because I've never been a victim of any kind of domestic violence or abuse or anything like that. But see, I'm going to tell you also, I demand my respect. You're not going to disrespect me. And also, men know who to try that on. Okay, if they find you a little bit timid, if they think, okay, when you let them get away with the first thing that they do to you and you let it fly by like it's okay, then that was just their way of testing the waters to see, okay, I wonder what else I can do to this person. Okay, and each time they're going to take it a step further. And when they finally see, okay, this person lets me do whatever it is I want to do, then physically they start to break you down. They start to beat on you. Okay, you can't let people do that to you. Don't let anyone tear you down. Don't let anyone have you thinking that you can't find a decent man or a decent woman. You can, okay? You just have to have the will to walk away. Don't let them make you think that they love you so much that you shouldn't walk away. You should give them another chance. And then, hey, let's talk about the ones that beat the women and then give them gifts or send them flowers. I've had people tell me about people they've dated like that as well. And those are the worst kind right there, because they think they can do it and buy their way out of it. I just think that you have got to, rather male, female, stand up in these relationships and let these people know, I deserve better. You're not going to talk to me like this, and you're not going to do that to me. You are no one's punching bag, okay? And you deserve better. No matter what they might have you thinking about yourself, you deserve better. And I think that you should do what you can to get yourself and your children out of that situation. There's all types of hotlines that you can call. I gave the number out earlier for a national domestic violence hotline, and I will give it out again, which is 1-800-799-7233. Again, it's 1-800-799-7233, and it's the National Domestic Violence Hotline. So if you find yourself in a situation and you have nowhere to go and you don't know what to do, please give these people a call. Just don't continue to sit in a situation and allow your children to be in a situation with an abuser, because again, it does not always end well. And don't be afraid to be alone. Don't be afraid to be single. You have women out there that's been married for 40 years, and these men have been doing this for 40 years, and they didn't leave because they were afraid to be single. Don't ever be afraid to be single. You're stronger than what you believe you are, and you should go ahead and leave. Don't stay in that toxic situation. I believe that, and abuse comes in so many different ways. Like I said, there's the emotional abuse. It's the people where they're not physically abusing you, but they're emotionally abusing you. So they're calling you out of your name. They're calling you bitches. They're calling you whores. They're telling you you're not beautiful. They tell you you're too skinny. They tell you you're too fat. That's the type of abuse that some people get from their partner. Okay, and that's not good either, because women say, okay, well, he doesn't touch me, he doesn't hit me, but he does say these things to me. That's still abuse, because that's not your name. Okay, that's disrespectful. It's not your name, and it's not good. So just because he's not physically abusing you, but he's doing it mentally, verbally, you think it's okay. That's still not okay. And you have to think more about who you are. Think more about yourself, okay? So that you won't be willing to stay in a situation like that. And there's so many people out there that try those things on these people that they're in relationships with. They try to break them down mentally. And then when they break you down to the point to where you don't feel you have anything left, that's when they take off. That's when they leave. They leave you then. They leave you, and they leave you broken, damaged. And they go on to the next. Okay? That's why I am a firm believer. I tell people, if you're with someone and he's calling you out of your name, get away. You deserve better. You don't need that. You don't need that. I don't care if you've known him since you all were 5. Okay? I don't care if you've been married for 60, 70 years. If he's doing that to you, get away. Okay? This is just not something that you should tolerate. No one out there should tolerate any type of mental, physical, or any kind of abuse. Okay? It's just too many ways to get away. And don't allow fear to get in the way. Don't be afraid to get away, because they tell them, okay, if you leave me, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. Walk away. That's how they try to scare you. That's how they try to keep you there. Walk away. Okay? Don't allow them to do that to you. That's just the abuser's way of keeping you there. They want you to fear them so much to the point where you're going to be too afraid to walk away. Or they try to tell you they're going to take your children from you. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. No, you get your children, you pack your things, and you leave. And if you feel that it's a dangerous situation to where he's so much of a dangerous person, he or she, then leave the things behind. Just take your kids. Material things can always be replaced, but you only get one life. Okay? And no matter how he tells you that he's going to try to take away your kids, leave. with your children and you fight him in court. And most of all, women, when you're in these domestic violence situations, they need a paper trail. They need to know that you've called the police. They need to know how long this has been going on, because there's been stories also where you see on the news a woman that has been dealing with domestic violence. I mean, her coworkers have known, her family knew, but the police did not know. And this person might end up in self-defense killing this man and end up in jail doing hard time because they had no paper trail. They didn't know it was happening. You know, no matter how your family or friends or coworkers say, yeah, he was doing it, the first thing the police are going to say is, but where's the proof? Did you make any police reports? No, they don't. And that's why sometimes it's not believed. You know, when women have gotten to the point where to get out, they've had to kill to get out. And it should never, I think, to keep that point from happening in your life, get out before it gets that bad. Get out when it first starts. And most of all, even when you get out, make your police report. Because if for some reason this man does continue to harass you and follow you and stalk you, and if it ever came to a point where you did have to, rely on self-defense and actually remove this person out of your life permanently, out of this world in self-defense, at least they have it documented. Okay, she left. He was beating her. He beat her on this day. He beat her on that day. Here's pictures. Here's whatever you need. Leave that paper trail. And go from there. But most of all, just get out. Because you deserve better. Okay, I will be taking a brief break. And I will be right back. Hello and welcome back to Life as It Is with me, Dora Middleton. In this segment, I have been talking about domestic violence in relationships and just violence overall. Before I went to break, we were talking about how these people try to break you down emotionally, not just physically. And I gave out a number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 1-800-799-7233. Again, it's to the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and it's 1-800-799-7233. And I wanted to say to anyone out there that's dealing with this situation, do what's best for you and your children. And what's best for you and your children, if you have them, is to walk away. If the person hits you once, he will hit you again. Okay, and if he even hit you once, it means he's abusive. Okay, and abuse isn't just physically, it's mentally, verbally. So abuse comes in all different types of ways. And no matter what way it's coming, you need to get out. Okay, there is absolutely no reason for anyone to be in a situation like that. Don't allow anyone to talk to you or talk you into staying in a situation like that. And please don't allow any family or friends to tell you, oh, he's a good man or she's a good woman. You're just having a little bit of, you've hit a rocky road, It'll get better. No, it won't. It won't. And I really can't stand when people tell others that. Why would you talk them into staying with someone that you know has issues? Why would you do that? Why would you do that to them? Why would you do it to their kids? Don't do it. You should never tell anyone to stay in a toxic relationship or an abusive relationship. You tell them to walk away. I don't care how many years they've been together. Tell them to walk away for their own safety. Because if anything happens to anyone in that relationship, the first thing you're going to say is, wow, they should have walked away. So don't tell them to stay there, because they shouldn't. And then when you get out of the toxic situation, you should seek help. Get a therapist so that they can talk to you and make sure that you don't go and find another person like that. Because usually when you get with one person like that, you tend to seek out men or women like that, the same type. So you want to get the help that you need through therapy to help, so that you won't go back out and start repeating or finding the same type of person and get yourself in the same type of situation. So always get some type of counseling, therapy, after you get out of a relationship of that type. So I really do hope, if you're listening to my podcast, if you're listening to this segment especially, I've given this number out quite a few times on here, and I'm going to give it out again, which is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. The number is 1-800-799-7233. Please, if you're listening to this podcast and you are in some type of situation like that, then call this number and get the help that you need. And they will be able to get you the help you need in the area that you might be living in. But whatever you do, don't just sit there and think that it's going to correct itself or it's going to get better, because it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. And someone that's an abuser will continue to be an abuser, because they are what you consider bullies. They bully you into thinking that you have to stay with them. They bully you into thinking that you can't do any better or get anyone better. And don't allow people to do that to you. Do what's best for you. Do what's best for your children. And take care of yourself. Get you and your family to safety. Remember, you only get one life. Okay, one life. So you have to protect yourself and your family. So get out of the situation if you are in that type of relationship, whether it's a marriage or just you being dating, whatever relationship you're in, even if you're having some kind of friends with benefit relationship. If it's like that, get out of it. So no matter what type of relationship you are in, if it has anything to do with abuse, verbally, mentally, physically, get out of it and walk away. It's not worth it. It's not worth your sanity. It's not worth your health. It's not worth your life. Okay? I have enjoyed speaking with you all with the segment on domestic violence and abuse. Again, please do what's right for you and your children. And thank you for sharing this time with me. And until next time, take care. And thank you for joining me, Dora Middleton, on Life as It Is. Thank you.